Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Jen Eckhardt, the founder of Entrepreneurial Freedom, an advisory that reduces owner dependence and helps business owners design a business that runs and grows without them. Jen, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take us on a little trip down memory lane to before you started Entrepreneurial Freedom. What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
I think I can remember in high school being teased about my organized calendar. So I think I've always been that left brain, get things in order. This is a system. Always been in leadership positions. So was doing ops management for bricks and sticks companies. My husband and I each had an exit around the time or shortly before I started Entrepreneurial Freedom. And then I started Entrepreneurial Freedom. Back then it was called Savvy Assist. And I was helping everybody else create more time and space in their businesses. And behind the scenes, I was doing everything I'd told them not to. So I had to work on myself. I created a business that was very dependent on me.
Yeah.
And because I was seeing it in my clients too, it made sense for me to solve that problem.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting discussion because we have a lot of business owners that listen to this, and a lot of them, if they were to try to go fishing for a week, the business would completely shut down. So
Yes.
walk me through, you mentioned you had an exit. Can you just briefly touch upon that? What was that company? What was the outcome? Walk me through that.
Yeah. Between my husband and I, we had three exits. The first one was mine, and it was embarrassing. It was with a couple of partners, and things weren't working out anymore. We were running an employee benefits agency, and there just wasn't, we didn't have a shared vision for where we were going. And I trusted the partner and ended up walking away with nothing. That's why I say it was embarrassing. The next exit that we went through was my husband's. And as he exited, we walked away with all the debt because the partner that he had just stopped making payments. He had
Wow.
personally guaranteed the loan. And so we paid that off after they closed the doors. My husband had ironically left so they would have enough money and capital to continue. So that's a second failed exit. And then the third one was a successful one. And we learned our lessons and walked away with some, but just each of us are entrepreneurial, I guess. We both want to keep our hands in the clay. So the exit didn't keep us from coming back and doing it better. And now I get to pass those lessons on to somebody else so they mean something besides
Yeah,
what they just meant for us.
100%. Yeah, it's third time's a charm, first
Yeah.
off. But then you learn from every single experience and it shapes you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner.
100%. The I talked about the structural part and the logical brain that I have, but I also have a educational background in psychology, counseling and guidance. So there's a tremendous, because of the exits and just because of how I'm built too, a tremendous amount of empathy for what it's like to be the owner that everything depends on.
Yeah.
And it's not just a switch that any of us flip. We wake up the next day and decide to do something different. It's
Mhm.
very much an evolution, a personal evolution. And that's why we have the frameworks, we have the templates to help the team, but there's also a coaching element to it to help the entrepreneur to evolve through the different roles that they need to adopt as well, identities.
Yeah, I would love to dive deeper into that. So let's fast forward to give the listeners more context into your business today. Who would you
Yes.
say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there, what are the core offerings in entrepreneurial freedom?
Naturally, I chose the vertical that is hardest to create a system from. So we work primarily with service providers, whether
Yeah.
they're professional or blue collar. Those are our target markets. They're usually lower mid market, so anywhere from 2 to 25 million in revenue is what I say. But the revenue isn't the only thing that we're looking for. We're also looking for a team of 7 to 10 minimum, because it's really difficult for me, number one, to help you delegate if there's no one to delegate to.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about delegation, we're talking about transfer of ownership in these different areas. So those are the things that we look for with our ideal clients. I'm sorry, what was the next question that you asked?
Right. And then the core offerings.
Oh, yes. So the core offerings that we have are really a combination, not a combination, a choice between a group program and an individual one-on-one program. And we call that our Pathfinder. What we're really doing is helping you wrap your arms around what we call the ops flywheel. And that's our own methodology in terms of the levers and the switches that we can flip to improve operations around a center of purpose, which is the
Yeah.
DNA of your business. If you think of a flywheel, without that true center, if you will, if that center wobbles, then the flywheel is just going to explode, right? It's not going to stay together. So with a VIP, we're coming into your business, we're working for a short time as a fractional COO to
Mm.
clean up and really understand what's happening. And that's what I mentioned before about really keeping my hands in the clay. We have a recruiter on staff, so then we help you hire the very best second in command that you can find. And then we spend the last third of that year continuing to mentor and train that person. So that's the individual offering. The group offering is a very, I call them micro minds. So 8 to 10 people, we keep them very intentionally small because we want to have a good handle on what's going on in your business, as opposed to anybody feeling like a number, or we spend a lot of time in our meetings like recounting so I can remember what it is that you're dealing with. And I love each methodology for different reasons, but I love the micromind because of the way everybody supports each other. You get to mentor and be mentored. So it becomes a kind of a leadership opportunity for everybody as well.
100%. It's a small little community mastermind slash micromind. It's nice to have that people to bounce ideas off of. And we have a lot of advisories that listen to this and consultants, coaches, etc.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you think about the scalability of a fulfillment model, are you looking to keep the one-on-ones going, or do you want to switch strictly to the microminds and because it's more scalable in a sense, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so the microminds are very scalable. And so we don't have to just run one micromind at a time. We run multiple at a time. I don't see ever completely phasing out the one-on-ones.
Got it.
And the reason for that is, and I'm going to go back to the hands in the clay thing, it gives me the chance and my colleagues to roll up our sleeves and really get in there and see what's going on in the business, as opposed to being more at an arm's length that you get through a group. So we limit those. Each of us never has more than 2 one-on-one clients at a time because we want to serve at that highest level. But I don't see them ever going away because they're this perfect opportunity for us to keep our ear to the ground in terms of what's happening in the market, but also test different interventions and
Mm.
see what's working.
100%. And then now it's more applicable to the micro minds. I like that a
Yes,
lot. And
exactly.
it's nice to do that from a place of choice because you choose to do
Yes,
it, you enjoy it, and you get value from it as opposed to necessity.
yes.
Let's shift a little bit to the back end of the business. When it comes to acquiring more customers and bringing in more business owners, service providers, what does that look like currently for you guys?
I'm going to give a little bit of background because I'm fond of pointing out that I've made all the mistakes so that you don't have to. And July is our 17th anniversary. We've been around for 17 years.
Wow.
And for 15, 14 of those years, we've worked primarily off referrals. And there was not much in terms of outbound or even inbound marketing. It was all about creating relationships with other experts and centers of influence that served our market. And that's gone very well for us. what I've realized in the last 3 years is that it was time to drink my own Kool-Aid in terms of what I was teaching clients about
Yeah.
how they market their own businesses, and not to depend on one particular channel to really diversify how leads find you and come into the business. I know from experience that a lot of times when we get a CEO out of operations, they immediately want to hire a salesperson. And again, through the school of hard knocks over the years, we've tried this, and we know from experience that if we don't have a strong marketing pipeline, the salesperson isn't going to stick around. And we're going
Yeah.
to end up losing somebody that was an A player because we didn't have a strong enough marketing pipeline. So that brings me back around to what we're doing now. And in the last 6 months, we've really taken an opportunity to reposition ourselves in the market, think about what people are looking for, how that matches up with our strengths, and then begin to build that outbound, that thought leadership. And so we're building that pipeline. So right now, you're looking at the marketing and the sales department. The operations is largely handled with someone else right now, so I can serve in this position. But I know that before I'm ready to hire a salesperson, I have to have this strong marketing pipeline. And I also have to have a really strong grasp of what I want the brand to be so that I can pass that on to them.
100%. I love your thought process there. And one thing I like to bring up is that when it comes to this kind of space, when it's consulting advisory service, I think there's really four core pillars. The first is you have to have an offer that people actually want. Everything starts with the offer. If
Yeah,
it's something that you can actually help with and you're solving real world problems, then the next step becomes implementing a predictable lead generation machine, having some sort of system where it's like a faucet, you can turn it on, you can turn it off to get more leads at will. From there,
100%.
it's the sales process, the infrastructure of the sales process, making sure it's closing at a high enough percentage. And then it's making sure that you're placing talent in the right places. And you have the A players so I think we're on the same page there. I'm
100%.
curious now, it sounds like you're in the process of building it out and really figuring it out and tailoring it in terms of the predictable lead generation system. What channels are you currently leveraging? What future initiatives do you have planned? What does that look like?
One of the things I'm most excited about right now is that from an entry point into our world, we've gone from depending on referrals or reaching out one to one and just having individual meetings to something that we call the executive roundtable. And it's not a webinar, it truly is a roundtable. It's not a panel. We're getting people together to talk about what the challenges are. Again, we keep them small because we really want people talking to each other. There's something magical that happens for entrepreneurs. We feel very isolated and like we might be the only one going through things, through challenges or having these sorts of frustrations. So if I can get a group in a room together and they realize I'm not the only one, again, we're creating that community with them. And I want them to connect. I send everybody's LinkedIn profiles after the meeting. So that's working really well in terms of not just people getting a taste of what it's like to work with entrepreneurial freedom, but it's also a great opportunity for market research for me
Yeah.
because through that I hear how they're talking about it, what they're saying about it, and so that helps to refine what happens. So very soon we will be ready to look at how we can do more of a cold outreach to help fill these executive roundtables. But for now, people are inviting other people to come. I've had other service providers say, hey, this is amazing. Could you do this for my VIP clients? And
Mm.
so I'll facilitate a roundtable just for them, and it becomes a value add for their clients. So that's what's working really well now. I also have a community that we call the Founders Table that we bring people in. It's a free community, and really, I think about it in terms of my way to give back. So
Mm.
even if you never become a client, hang out in there, learn what other people have stubbed their toe on, or help somebody else that is where you were solving some time ago. So those are the things that are working really well for me now. And that community is a big part of where I want to be.
What platform is that on?
Ah, it's on Facebook for now.
Oh,
I'm not sure where it'll go, but Facebook was the fastest place for me to spin it up when the
cool.
inspiration struck.
Nice. I like that. I would think about school.com. I don't know if you've ever heard of
I
school.
am. Yeah, Alex Hermosi. Yeah,
Yep.
there's a number of things out there. One of my peers has a LinkedIn group, and that's really where most of my connections and colleagues are. So I'm watching her very closely to see how that works for her and before I make some decisions. Back in the day, and I'm going to date myself a little bit now, Facebook groups were so great because people were on Facebook anyway. So they were more present than having to go to a different platform. What prompted the Facebook thing, and I'm going to tell on myself a little bit, is my teenagers teasing me about still being on Facebook. The founders that I work with, a lot of times are approaching or at least thinking about exit. So they're my age group, right? They're 50 to 80, or there's a wide range there. And it occurred to me when they were teasing me, hey, maybe my people still are on Facebook like I am. So let me explore that as we get started and see what kind of traction we can get there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like right now you're really trying to hone down and find the most effective way to predictably and consistently bring in leads.
100%. I don't think that ever goes away.
Yeah,
The
I
market
completely agree.
changes, the technology changes, and if we get locked into how we've always done it, we get left behind.
100%. And that's why it's important to surround yourself with other business owners to
100.
really get different perspectives, especially people that are further ahead in the journny, see what
Yes.
they do and where they found success. When
Yes.
you think of your vision, let's say over the next 6 to 12 months, and really where you want to take the company, what specific revenue targets, performance targets, goals in general are you aiming towards?
Great questions. I'm at the place where I'm not just thinking about revenue, and I ask my clients this too. It's not just about how much the business makes, but what's the life you want to lead. So I'm at the place where anywhere between 2 to 5 million is probably our next goal. And that is entirely dependent on how many things I can step out of. So, to quote
Mhm.
Dan Sullivan, it's a who, not a how
Yeah,
sort of thing. So, in terms of revenue goal, that's what I'm seeing. And I'm also seeing a very lean, what I call parent company team. And we have ideas for spinning up some different divisions that would be needs that we see our clients have that are really outside specific operations, but we don't see anybody filling the need as well as we think it should be filled. So there's
mm,
opportunities to expand laterally as opposed to just going deeper or wider with what we're working on right now.
yeah. So potentially offering more services or more
Yes.
programs in a sense. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. When you think of that vision, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge to getting there?
Right now, it's the dialing in of that marketing that we're talking about, the market research and really feeling, okay, this works almost automatic. And I think that there's some mindset work for me to do too, if I'm really honest, because I have spent the last 20 years with relationship development and networking and really building those deep relationships, not just with people that can refer to us, but to the actual people that we work with. And I go through what everybody else goes through. Like, what is that if I let that go? And who takes that over? And I have to keep bringing myself back to center in terms of my job is to set forth the outcomes and define what success looks like and not be invested in the how. But it takes a special person to find that who. I'm looking at who the successor for my business might be. We started the call talking about exits. And so I know that my exit from this business is likely going to be from someone from within the business. And so finding someone that wants that for themselves and then we can work alongside each other is one of the things that I'm solving for right
Yeah.
now. Always a who.
Always a who, always a who. I love that. And I love that you're starting with the end in mind.
Yeah.
have that end vision in mind always, it sounds like, with the decisions that you're making, and not just short term, which is huge.
Yeah, yeah.
If you were talking to new entrepreneurs starting in 2025, and this is a new framing that I'm trying with this question, so I'm curious how you're going to answer this, but
Okay.
if you could give them a piece of advice that you wish you would have known when you were first getting into business. So something you know now after almost 2 decades, but you didn't know it when you were first starting out. And also give you the option to, if you want to just give a general piece of advice, you can do that as well. But I think that's a cool framing.
This is going to be a strange answer, I
Okay.
think, to what you're asking me. But one of the things I mentioned before that we really look at the structural capital of your business and we help you build that. So there's a lot of enterprise value. But there's very much a personal side to that is potentially more important than the structural building. Because if you can't travel that entrepreneurial evolution and become the leader that next stage of business needs you to be, your business is going to get stuck. And that's okay. I've had clients that decide that they want to be lifestyle entrepreneurs as opposed to growing an enterprise. And that's fine. That leads me to the answer that I want to share with you. And I think that is self-awareness. So
Mm,
the people that never get out of the center of their business lack the self-awareness or the willingness even to look at where they might be holding the business back
yeah.
by their own actions or attitudes or things like that. So I think a curiosity and a willingness to always look at the business and keep in mind that it's a separate entity. You are not your business, it's a different entity, lends a little bit of objectivity to the business and
Yes.
then also self-awareness.
I love that. No, I love that. You said it was going to be a strange answer, but I love those types of answers because I am a big fan of this quote where it's there's no such thing as business problems. There's personal problems that manifest in your business.
Yeah.
And obviously there's caveats to that, but I think that generally speaking, that's very true. And
Yeah.
if we can have more of that self-awareness and really be able to look inwardly and see what am I doing to create these problems, then it's a beautiful recipe for success.
Yeah. I think that's, I've never heard that quote before, but I love it.
Yeah, you'd like it. Uh,
Yeah.
Sam Ovens was the guy that I heard that from.
I like Sam.
Me too,
Yeah. He's a powerful leader.
100%. What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
I think the Facebook group, the Entrepreneurial Freedom, there's an Entrepreneurial Freedom page, but the Facebook group is called the Founders Table.
Awesome.
And I'm very careful about the membership there and curating that. So those are the best places. LinkedIn is another spot to find me as well.
And then the website is Freedom.
Entrepreneurialfreedom.com.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. Thank you so much, Jen, for coming on, sharing your wisdom, sharing your insights with us today.
Yeah, I'm grateful for the invitation and really look for opportunities to serve. Life's too short to be stuck in the
Yeah,
office and making
100%.
a difference.
I love it. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go to Facebook, check out Jen's group, join the Founders Roundtable, go to entrepreneurialfreedom.com, reach out to her. And if you're inspired by today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.